Aloha and hello, it's Renee. Welcome to my podcast, which I do record live on Facebook and YouTube if you're catching this live. Otherwise, if you're not catching this live, know that it's recorded in several places, even uploaded as a traditional podcast. So thanks for being here today. If you ever want to share any of my podcasts with anybody, please do. Again, Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play. I think that's it. That pretty much covers it. Anyways, thanks for being here today. Today, though, I want to talk about it's not fall yet, but it's late summer. In traditional Chinese medicine, there's 5 elements, and they go based on the seasons. However, because there's 5, the spleen and stomach ends up being what they call late summer or your Indian summer. So this late summer, we've moved into the spleen and stomach for traditional Chinese medicine. And also, because it is like kind of a 5th element, it's the earth element. And in theory also, so even if you don't give the earth element a season, even though late summer, Indian summer tends to relate to it, the spleen also tends to be the center. So if you almost even think about, the center of the universe or the center of our universe, and things rotate around it, right? The earth, things rotate around it. Actually, the sun, right? The moon rotates around the earth. Anyways, I think hopefully you're getting what I'm throwing out there. I don't tend to be a professional astrology, and maybe my analogy could be thrown out the window. Anyways, the earth, a lot of things are based on the earth. We don't have other elements in our lives, right? We don't have fruits and vegetables without the earth, and we don't sustain life. We don't have gravity, right? Okay, so the earth tends to be the center of a lot of human life. Let's put it that way. And so whenever you get into the 5 Chinese elements, then the earth element is kind of the center, and your spleen is known to be an organ that helps supply the rest of your body with what it needs. So your spleen is actually a very central organ in your body, not necessarily 100% as to where it's located, but it's very central in the other processes that go on in your body to make sure that fresh blood and nutrients are being delivered to the other organs. So another analogy might be that your spleen is mom, and mom is going to make sure that all the kids are taken care of, right? So your spleen, or the organ of the spleen, is going to make sure it takes care of. Anyway, traditional Chinese medicine, a lot of my knowledge is also Ayurvedic, and the two of them kind of arm wrestle with each other a little bit. I personally love both of them, and they have a lot of similarities. And really, I'm a knowledge is power. And I don't 100% believe in keeping myself cooped up in a little rabbit hole of just one thing. I like to venture down several rabbit holes. And a lot of my training as a master herbalist, a lot of my training is based on, to be a master herbalist, it is based on studying and learning several modalities. And today's going to be a little bit maybe heavier on the traditional Chinese medicine than it is Ayurveda compared to some of my other podcasts. Okay, so anyways, the spleen and late summer. So your spleen, if it's kind of the central organ to get blood and nutrients, also in Chinese medicine, they also call that often qi. So getting nutrients to your body and blood to your body is energy. It's energy work. You're going to have more energy if things are being distributed correctly, right? So in traditional Chinese, they like to just kind of narrow that down and call it qi. So when I'm talking about energy or delivering nutrients to your body through traditional Chinese methods, we're talking about qi. So moving qi and energy throughout your body. So with that said, if the earth is nourishing us and the spleen is the earth element, then we really need those two to be working together. And late summer tends to be one of the hottest times of the year, especially down here in Maui. it's usually known that September's hot. Now, I'm from Colorado, so I definitely know what it's like to experience seasons and yin and yang, opposites, hot and cold. I do know that Colorado is known to have sometimes, it's rare, but they can have their first snow or frost in September. But if you're a Coloradan, you also know it can be 90 plus degrees one day, and then the next day, some crazy storm rolls in. So this time of year, most of us are still experiencing a lot of warmth. Even in Colorado, you can be warm 90 one day and 30 the next. I've been there. I've lived there my whole life, except for when I moved down here to Maui. Anyway, so to embrace that heat, your spleen, your stomach. So your spleen and your stomach work together. They're complementary organs. So this time of year is spleen and stomach. Your stomach obviously is actually when you chew your food and your saliva is the first part of digestion. But then everything goes down into your stomach, right? Then you can think of your stomach as kind of a bowl or a stew pot, and the spleen is producing heat, so the fire underneath your stew to cook your food. And your food needs to be cooked in order for you to digest it. So even if you're eating raw veggies or something, your body has to cook it. So even if you're not pre-cooking your food and you're eating raw food, your body still has to cook it to break it down into the several pieces and parts and nutrients that gets moved throughout your body, even separating the fiber from the vitamin C of the fruit, right? So your spleen is like the fire that helps the digestion break down. So that is why your spleen tends to be so central, because without the other organs getting their proper nutrition, they don't exist. Just like a mother raising her children, right? So a lot of times your children are going to be as healthy as the mother is. So if the mother isn't taking care of herself and then taking care of her children. So same thing with our body. If your spleen is a little bit weak and struggling, then the other organs can as well. Now there's theory behind all the organs. They all have a job. They all need to be healthy. It's like a domino system. But today we're specifically talking about the spleen because this is the spleen time of year. I do have a few notes here just to make sure I get to what I want. So the spleen transforms food into chi. So it's going to cook and break down your food and turn it into usable energy for our body. As well as, so digestion. Okay, so when your spleen is weak, meaning it's not building that perfect fire to be able to cook your food. So when your spleen is weak and your digestion is low, then you could have like a rumbling in your belly. You ever ate something, maybe it seems like it's just the wrong time of day that you ate it, or it's just something that doesn't sit well with you. So you eat it and your stomach's doing a rumbling and you can just tell that it's not digesting well. So that rumbling, so that could be a weakness in the spleen, or what you ate over-challenged the spleen. It doesn't have enough fire. This time of year, you should have good digestion because of the extra heat. So now, obviously, in the opposite, in the winter, your spleen might not be functioning quite as well because it's cold out and it's your organs, everything is slowing down. So then your digestion is slower. But this time of year is when your digestion should be at its best. So knowing that your digestion should be at its best, but you still have digestive issues, then that person especially needs to start paying more attention to their body, because even at this time of year, if you have digestive issues, you need to start healing your digestion and get to possibly what's going on in your body. I do one-on-one consultations with people. If you ever want to connect with me one-on-one, I do consultations and we can discuss this further. But moving on. So you might have the rumbling in your belly. You can just tell things aren't digesting, which in Ayurveda is related to Vata. And Vata, as we move into fall, Vata is about wind and such. So it definitely goes along with Vata if you know your Ayurveda as well. And your thoughts. So when your belly's rumbling and you're not quite digesting, your thoughts are going to be unclear as well. Maybe even a hard time in your life to make decisions because you're just not digesting well. So even decision making is a struggle. you can't get things done, right? So if you can't make decisions and you're not thinking clearly and your stomach's rumbling, you're not quite getting done the things that you want to get done. It's starting to affect maybe your quality of life or your ability to get shit done. Speaking of shit, you could have loose stool. So the spleen, loose stool meaning, I know people don't like to talk about poop and shit, but as herbalists, we love to talk about it. So loose stool meaning that also after you go to the bathroom, it's not quite true diarrhea, not like food poisoning diarrhea, but when you look at the loose stool after you go to the bathroom, you can kind of almost recognize what food you ate. That's a loose stool because you didn't fully digest it. Your spleen couldn't cook the food that was in the pot. So since you couldn't fully digest it, it's almost recognizable when it comes out the other end. I know you're like, oh, gross. Renee, did you have to go there? And I say, yes, I did, because your stool is very important to your health. Another thing is sometimes people can have the flip side of low digestion, can also be constipation or just dry, a lot of dryness. That's in Ayurveda, the Vata side of things, where you're dry and you start to get constipated because your spleen, when it's also breaking down your food, it's pulling out the nutrients and the fiber and the moisture for hydration. Okay, so if your spleen isn't quite strong enough to do all those functions, even beyond those three that I just mentioned, then things can be dry and also get constipated. So you could go either way. Everybody's a little bit different, but yet sometimes health can be a little bit predictable if you know these basic things. And you can just feel weakness. So obviously you're going to feel weak because things are not digesting. The chi, the energy isn't getting broken down and distributed to the parts of your body that you need it. So you're going to also feel like tissue breakdown, like maybe muscles. It's hard to build muscle, or you feel like you're losing muscle mass and tissue breaking down, or you're seeing more wrinkles because your elasticity, your collagen, your skin is breaking down. So that can all be part of lack of digestion because you're not creating enough chi to build muscle, right? So it'd be the opposite. Somebody who lifts weights and they're trying to build muscle, but they can't build muscle. It could be a weakness in your spleen. Now, this isn't anything that you should panic about, freak out about, go to your doctor and be like, hey, doc, I think my spleen is bad. Do we need to remove it? Do I need a transplant? Please, please don't start freaking out on this stuff. Many of us aren't taught to listen to our body or these basic concepts of knowing how to, based on organ, take care of ourselves daily. But it's not a replacement for going to the doctor. If you do feel like you have some extreme issues going on, go ahead, maybe talk to your doctor or see a naturopathic doctor. I am not a naturopathic doctor. I am a master herbalist who knows a lot about listening to the body and can recognize weaknesses and strengths, but I by all means am not a doctor, if that makes any sense. I'm just a big advocate of daily health, and knowledge is power. So knowledge of how your body works and functions can make you more powerful and promote wellness and prevention. Okay, so noticing these early signs of an organ possibly being slightly weak could prevent something bigger down the line that you definitely need a doctor for. Moving on. Weakness in spleen can also go along with the traditional Chinese medicine. They like to talk about dampness. In Ayurveda, we talk about like dampness or moisture, water, and that heaviness you get from having too much. So you can notice like edema, swelling, and taking on water retention, right? Dampness. So along with dampness can also be mucus. So the mucous membranes can start going crazy. So some congestion. That mucus down in your lungs often is referred to as phlegm. And coughing can be associated, actually, believe it or not, with a little weakness in your spleen because you're taking on this extra mucus and dampness. Because again, maybe your fire. Remember, if we think of the spleen as how we cook our food and digest it and regulate our body, even our body temperature. So if you're having a little bit of coolness, dampness, phlegm, coughing and bringing up that mucus, the phlegm, then a lot of that can be associated with the spleen. So think about it. When we truly do start to come out of the Indian summer and into more fall-like weather, many of us start to get that first virus of the year, or maybe what we perceive as the first virus that we've been exposed to. We're like, oh, kids went back to school, so now everything is being spread all over the place, right? We're all getting sick. Or is it that maybe your body is shifting with the season, and the dampness with a little bit of a weakness in your spleen is creating some of this congestion and excess mucus, right? So just getting you to think a little bit more. I definitely have my phone somewhere because I can hear it dinging. I'm sure you guys can hear that, but I don't know where my phone is. Somewhere around here dinging. If you have Pavlov's to it, if it's the same sound you have, you probably have a little Pavlov's. Anyway, of course. Anyway, so we've talked a little bit about maybe if you have some weakness in your spleen. And again, it's not something to panic about. You don't need surgery. However, if you've had some extreme issues forever with these kind of things and focusing on getting the spleen up to better health in daily practice, or just taking care of yourself better daily, then yeah, maybe you need to mention some of this stuff to your doctor. Or if you have a doctor's appointment coming up, it's not going to hurt to talk to them about it. However, a lot of doctors, they only have 5 or 10 minutes to talk about things. And so that's, again, what I'm here for, is to discuss some of these things with you if you ever want to discuss these things more in depth and have somebody to bounce ideas off of or your health off of. Let me know. So obviously, if those things are a sign of weakness or overstressing your spleen, then a healthy spleen is going to be somebody who digests well. You're not going to feel bloated after a meal. You're not going to have that rumbliness in there. You're going to eat. And you're going to feel good that those nutrients are getting distributed to your other organs and all around your body, and you're going to feel like you have energy. You're going to have chi, right? You're getting that chi flowing, and you feel great, and you have energy. You're going to be able to build muscle mass. If that's important to you, you're going to build muscle. Or if you've seen muscles starting to break down, then maybe you can reverse some of that so you don't have as much wrinkles and you have fuller, healthier looking skin. I'm also an esthetician, so a lot of things come back to healthy skin. Okay, so your spleen can help your skin. So even if you're not super stressed about what's going on inside your body, but you like to look good and pretty and young and healthy and have full skin, then you need to be concentrating a little bit more about what's going on inside. Your skin is the largest organ of your body. So obviously, if the spleen is mother taking care of her children, one of the jobs of your spleen is to make sure that your skin, the largest organ of your body, is also healthy, right? So if your skin and what you look like is really important to you, you need to be thinking a little bit more internally what's going on inside so that you can have healthy, glowing skin as well. You're going to have more energy, and overall, you're just vitality. You're going to think better decisions. You're going to find the right words to say what you need to say and not struggle with what you want to say. So the whole mind-body connection starts coming in. The dexterity, even your eye-hand coordination is going to come back, and all kinds of good stuff when your spleen is functioning well. And this time of year is the time of year to really tune into that. Because like I said, this is the time of the year when your spleen is functioning at its greatest, then you should feel really good right now. And if you don't, then you have some weaknesses we need to work on. And it could take a year. It may be the end of next summer by the time you feel good. So that's why now is a good time to think about it, because you have a whole year to get to where we are today and feel better. As far as eating too, so if the theory of your spleen, in the warmest time of year, your spleen is the most active and it can cook your foods well, then obviously eating in the middle of the day, eating your biggest meal, or if you like to eat raw foods, eating raw foods in the middle of the day instead of at night before you go to bed when things start to cool off. Your spleen is most active through the morning and midday. So by evening, your spleen is ready to go to bed and it's not digesting well. And we're even talking somewhere around 5, 6, 7 o'clock. So if you do have a lot of digestive issues in the evening, start eating your heavier meals or your raw fruits and vegetables earlier in the day, and you might feel better. So these are ways to start building your spleen and your other organs to help them be stronger. You have more chi in your body and you feel better, right? Feeling better is always a good thing. And, this is where I'm going to leave this today. My goal is to get you thinking and internally working on your body from the inside out, knowing that your skin is indicative of what's going on inside of you. So when you're treating yourself better from the inside out, your skin is going to glow and be much more beautiful and healthier. And if you ever have any questions, let me know. You can find me. My website is reneestahl.online. Just remember, it's my name, first and last name, all one word, .online. So look me up. You can schedule a consultation and we can chat. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to help you out. For the most part, I'm here today to help get you thinking about daily health and how everything is connected. I leave you with this, though. So with peace, love, abundance, namaste.